So, all of us have one thing absolutely in common. All of us have absolutely one thing in common. All of us have a story about how we ended up sitting in this room, one of these 600 of us. All of us have our story. And dance a bit. But actually, a big part of my story has been going to India, so I'm really used to this. But actually, what came before that, as many of you will know, but I was an investment banker. My story was I wanted to be rich, and I wanted to be happy, and I wanted to do that my way. Actually, I didn't really have much imagination about what that way was, but I knew that I wanted what I wanted, and I was going to get it. Yeah, and that's where I started. And I really didn't know that wouldn't work. To me, that seemed an obvious kind of process. And actually, what I was an individualist of the type that has been spoken about in some of these panels. An absolute individualist. I thought, yes, I can just make my life work. You know that question people sometimes say to you, or that comment they sometimes make, they say, well, whatever makes you happy, that's the main thing. Whatever you want to do, whatever makes you happy, that's the main thing. In some ways, that's a supportive comment, but it's in others, it's just enforcing that individualism, and which I had so strongly. And the main thing I would say, the main transformation that's taken place, to the extent that some has taken place, is I just don't believe that anymore. I don't believe in that. Yeah. I really can see that the only way that my life certainly can be happy and in a way can have any value is through joining with others. That's the only way it can work. And that's what I've gradually and very inch by inch been doing for whatever it is now, it's 20 years. And which brought me to Adhisthana is a belief in that. And us sitting here in this room is an expression of that. And us saying that kind of myth, the myth of the Bodhisattva that we all believe in to some extent, and we're all trying to believe in it more. That's our guiding myth. That's what we're doing together. And you've all heard this. You heard it probably years ago. It just seems to take years to actually kind of get it. And I'm still on that path. Anyway, enough about me. You've all got your own stories, and you may have come from quite extreme suffering, from depression, from nihilism, from sort of emptiness. The same emptiness that drives the consumerism that is having an effect on this planet, a very negative effect on this planet. You may have come from that. You may have come from quite extreme physical or emotional suffering, or that existential itch that you think, well, is this really it? Is this really it? And hopefully from that I'm sure you've moved on quite a bit and feel to some extent liberated from that. But the fact is that almost everybody in the world is not in that position. Well, I don't know if I can say that. Most people in this world are struggling and don't have a path, don't have a myth, don't know what life can be or how it can be meaningful. Sometimes I say it's those nihilistic issues that I just mentioned. Sometimes it's the eternalistic, the idea that, what we need is a great nation. That's what will make life work. Or what we need is just to be around people like ourselves. Or maybe what we need is to kill and destroy those who don't believe in what we believe in. I mean, we know from the news headlines that those are all real things. It's not just me making a speech. That's really going on. So I think my main point today, actually, I could put it in 3 words. My main point today is that the gift that we've received, the many gifts that we've received, let's pass it on. Let's pass it on. Let's share what we've received with the world. That's my main message. I could stop there. I'm not going to. But I think that's it. And we all, I know that you'll all do that in many, many ways. Every person here, the order is in great shape. Everybody here and all the other order members around the world we're all doing what we can. We're befriending people, we're teaching at the centre, we're doing work that's trying to change the world. We're working on our own minds so that we are a force for good in the world, and we're gathering like this to become part of a collective, a movement. So we're all doing a lot. I know that. And there's another way we can help. We can give our time and energy, and you know what's coming next because you know who I am. And you know what I'm here to do. The other thing, of course, that we could share is can I say the word? Our money. Our money. Our money. I'll come a bit more onto what I mean by money, but it's such a, what I mean by our money. It's such a complex area. I mean, I've been going around the world the last couple of years doing these money awakening workshops and retreats. Oh my goodness! I mean, it's such a complex area. We have so many questions and often issues around money. We might feel that there's not enough of it, that it's somehow bad, it's taboo, we mustn't talk about it. That it's not spiritual, we might feel guilty about it, maybe we inherited it or whatever. There's all that complexity. And by the way, my quick point on how to solve that is just talk about it. In your chapter, tell your chapter how much money you have, how much you earn. Just imagine doing that. People are doing it, and the roof doesn't cave in. Actually, it's fine. It's more than fine. Try it. But we want to hold on to our money because we're worried. We think about our need. What do we need our money for? What do our children, what might they need it for? It's so hard to buy a house these days. Maybe they'll need help from me with my money. What about my old age when I get ill? You know, there's that anxiety often. And there's the spiritual issue, the sense of it's my money. It makes me kind of who I am. None of us are out here, none of us are wanting to be millionaires. There are no rich people in this order or movement. There might be a few in the movement, but there's none in the order. Believe me, I've done a lot of research. I've asked around. There are no rich people amongst us, I'm afraid. There's actually even a service. You can send your database to a service and they will do a wealth screening. And I was really excited when I heard about this service and I sent them, I hope you don't mind, the order directory. There is no one in the whole order that comes up as wealthy according to at least UK norms. I'm sorry to tell you that. Yeah, I did do that, yeah. So none of you are spending your lives trying to get rich. I know that. And I know that just from knowing you, and I know, a lot of us know each other. But still, it's part of our identity. It's security, it's safety, it's us. It's hard to give up. It's hard to let go of. Actually, I would say our money is not our money. It was also given to us, either literally by our family, our parents or whatever, or by the people who employed us or our friends. Nothing we have is ours, actually. We know that when we think about it. Everything we have was given to us. And the great shift that all of us, in a way, as I was describing earlier, is this shift from me and mine to we and ours. And that is what we're doing in this community to an extraordinary degree. And actually, that is what the world needs. In Bante's talk from evolution or extinction, he says, unless more and more effective spiritual communities can develop in the world, we will kill ourselves. As a race, we've got the technology to do that. We need effective spiritual communities like this one. But it'll only work to the extent that we can really share what we have. Okay. So, what we've done, we've created a new way of giving. Okay, there's already loads of great ways to giving, and you're about to hear about a couple of them. But we created a new way to giving. It's called FutureDharma Fund, and it's a gathering of some of our elders, some of the people, you won't know all of them, but we respect, who basically have given their lives to building Triratna Buddhist community. Members of the college, public preceptors, chairs of Buddhist centres, order conveners like the Keshwara and Parami, and we've done a big consultation. What does the world really need and what can we offer? And they come up with FutureDharma Fund. And I'm going to now ask Tej, if you don't mind bring the screen down, I'm going to show a little clip of them speaking about why they have created FutureDharma Fund.
I think the world needs the Dharma perhaps more than ever. It's always needed the Dharma, but it seems to me perhaps a madder world than it's ever been. And when you think about all the crises that we're in, wars and economic crisis, environmental crisis. It seems to me that underlying all of that, we don't really know what values we should be living by. We don't really have a common sense of purpose or meaning. And the Dharma does seem to offer something universal.
And I think that a lot of the problems that we see in the world are mind-made, and the Dharma gives us a solution to that. The Dharma tells us and gives us methods for working with our mind, and therefore for transforming the world. What the world needs is practices and communities that will help us to transform our minds. And that's what Triratna Buddhist community offers, and FutureDharma Fund is our new vehicle for doing that, for reaching more and more people around the world, for helping create a greater unity amongst us, and also a greater depth of practice amongst us, so that we really have something to offer the world.
It just opens up the possibility of a real culture of giving, you know, where there's a real flow of resources, of generosity, of putting money and energy where it's needed to make a real difference, and just really developing that whole culture of that flow of energy, money, generosity in our order and movement.
I think FutureDharma Fund is a step into quite a quantum leap for Triratna, because it's a sign that we're big enough and mature enough to be able to channel our resources and collaborate in a much bigger way than we've been able to before.
Why it inspires me is because that'll create opportunities both for existing projects and to seed new initiatives.
One of the sort of responsibilities of the Bodhisattva is to create community. I think once you've made that connection, you want the conditions that support your own practice. One of probably the main thing that does that is relationship with other people practicing. You're in contact with people whose experience supports your own.
I think what the order can offer the world is a mythological view, if you like, or the chance to live and embody a mythic life, a life that is full of richness and poetry and the arts embedded in the Dharma. I think encouraging others to do this collectively is one of the wonderful gifts that we offer the world.
The FutureDharma Fund is trying to make sure that as a movement we've got a real response to the world for decades to come.
Well, I may not need to say much after that, but I will. I'll say a couple of things. I'm really proud of us that we created that. It's like 2 years to. I don't mean that film, but like between us, we've come together. We've really come together as a group of people who've created FutureDharma Fund, and that's been a massive process of consultation with all these different bodies. What do they think is important? And we've come up with 3 themes that to really make a difference in our second 50 years, we're going to need to be united. We're going to need to be a united spiritual community around the world. Secondly, that we're going to need to have real depth, like real wisdom, something to offer that's beyond just a very positive group, but actually something, in connection with enlightenment, with the transcendental. And finally, that we'll need to have real breadth, the kind of thing that we talked about this week, ability to reach people from all communities all around the world, different ages, different races, and so forth. So unity, depth, and breadth. And we've come up with a number of projects that we want to do, and priorities under those headings. And we've costed it at £5 million over the next 5 years. £5 million. Now, that might sound like a lot of money. Obviously, personally, it would be a lot of money for all of us. On the other hand, the London Buddhist Centre spent that on their new retreat centre, Vidrasana, recently. Yeah? That's just one Buddhist centre. Now, it is the biggest Buddhist centre in the whole movement, and it is an amazing Buddhist centre, and Vidrasana is absolutely beautiful. As somebody said earlier this week, it is a leap forward in terms of Western Buddhist architecture. Just go there if you get the chance. We can definitely do this as a global movement, 5 million. And to give you real confidence that we can, we've already got $250,000. We've already got $250,000. 50 order members around the world over the last few months have each committed, on average, £5,000. And so that's how we got our first $250,000 and our first set of projects. Yeah. So, I mean, just to mention a couple, we're going to be, for example, sharing like some of the best teaching at Adhisthana, people like Ratnaguna and Maitreya Bandhu, to really help us all kind of, in a way, share the Dharma as effectively we can in our local situations. And that will be available online as well, not just through being able to come to Adhisthana. FutureDharma Fund is an international fund. It's not just a UK fund, it's an international fund. I really want to emphasise. There'll be leadership training. We already know that we already made a grant to the Buddhist Centre Online for their work and free Buddhist audio, translations of key texts through Windhorse Publications, outreach into Central Europe. So there's going to be a Buddhist Centre now in Warsaw. Yeah, we've already got one in Krakow, very successful. Nietzsche Bandhu and his team are expanding into Warsaw. There's a whole Central European project which Sadaloka's leading, involving Ukrainians, Russians, and Polish, even Hungarian gypsies coming together for an annual Central European gathering, for example. So I suppose what I want to say to you is, well, join us, join that group of 50 other order members and Mitchers, join us, become part of FutureDharma Fund. You already are, because most of you are doing doing this work, but like join us by giving us some money, and there's 4 ways you can do that. You can give a monthly gift, in the usual way, a monthly gift, a single gift. It doesn't have to be £5,000. I want to emphasise it's not just for those who can make gifts of that size. But I do want to suggest that you kind of stretch a bit your sense of giving, and this is what I was sort of touching on earlier, that spiritual practice of giving. If you're anything like me, when somebody says something that inspires you to give, you feel an opening, you think, yes, yeah, I can do that. And then very quickly, another voice comes in that says, actually, I'm already giving a lot. I'm already giving to a lot of charities. Or, I don't know, I'm not sure, I'm retiring in a couple of years. Or whatever it is, there'll be a very sensible voice that'll come in that'll say no. And I think the spiritual challenge is to give anyway. Actually, I'm not aware of any time when I've listened to that, when I've not listened to that voice. In other words, when I have said yes, when I've given and regretted it, that has simply never happened. Even when I've given well beyond my usual level. The practice that I was given was to, whatever amount came to mind, to go even further and just double it. Yeah? Try it, just and see what happens. See if your life caves in, see if, I really don't think it will. Some people love the idea of 10% giving, giving 10% of your income to the Dharma. Again, for most of us, that is a stretch. But do that. If you don't have much income, you might like the idea of giving 2% of your assets every year. You probably don't, but you could try that. And I know that there are so many good causes, quite apart from Dharma causes. There's the environmental charities, overseas development charities, you name it, homeless charities, and you'll have a response to them. The only people who are going to give to FutureDharma Fund and to the charities you're about to hear from, and to any Dharma charities, are Buddhists. Yes, maybe one day we can give some other, but basically it's only going to be us. So if not us, who? So again, I'll just say that. And sometimes you might feel, no, I just can't give up my, whatever it is, my Greenpeace direct debit. But yeah, it's only going to be us who's going to give to Dharma projects. So I mentioned giving the 4 ways: monthly, a single gift. Also, you could lend money. We're working in partnership with Windhorse Trust, who are quite a well sort of capitalised trust. They've still got a lot of property in Cambridge and some cash. They're going to be a kind of Triratna bank, yeah. So that projects that really want and need money, whether it's new right livelihoods, new communities, new centres, that they don't stop as initiatives because of a lack of money. That's what we're trying to do. We want to make sure that even if they can't get funding from a bank or can only get a certain amount, they can get funding from us through this Triratna Bank, through Triratna Trust. So you could lend money through Triratna Trust, Windhorse Trust, and make those kind of projects happen that way. And then finally, and this is the biggie, I think, is put us in your will. Totally natural that you would think first about your family if you have children or people who you want to help in your will. I'm not saying don't do that, but I'm saying don't just do that. Don't just do that. Do think of where your life's energy has gone, which is this, and see if you can put your life energy into that after you've gone. And FutureDharma in that sense is a I mean, there are many Triratna charities that would be great recipients for a gift in your will. FutureDharma, well, we don't know what the world will need in 20 or 30 or whenever, however far in the future we're going to die. But whoever's trustees of FutureDharma Fund at that time will, because they're the people that we look up to ordain us and to sort of offer us leadership. All right, so yeah, let's pass it on. If you can support FutureDharma, we want to be there, as we were saying in that video, for decades to come, and you could be part of making it happen at the very start.